maximum speed.
I've never been a huge fan of the Crysis series, I'll be honest. In concept, they're fantastic, putting you in large environments aided by the fictional nanosuit, a piece of equipment that gives you increased combat abilities, but they've always been games plagued with horrible optimization, a somewhat boring storyline, and loads of bugs that stop them from being anything other than painfully average. The first game in the series was released in 2007 for Microsoft Windows exclusively, though it was later ported to the Xbox 360 and PlayStation 3, but the less said about that, the better. Developed by Crytek, it was a game that, like Far Cry, became a benchmarking tool for PC rigs at the time, and it was in essence one of the first of the modern open-ended FPS games. Crysis follows a similar setup to the story in Far Cry, where you're dropped on a mysterious island, initially fighting primarily other humans, in this case the North Korean army, before the last few areas of the game where things are mixed up and you're up against an all-new enemy type. In Far Cry this was the Trigen mutants, and in Crysis it's an alien race known as the Ceph. You're a guy named Nomad, part of the elite Raptor squad comprised of other members with similarly cheesy names. Psycho, Aztec, Jester, and Prophet, a character who plays a bigger role in the sequels.
The North Koreans can't know we're here.
They won't even know what hit them.
Raptor squad are all outfitted with nanosuits, which gives them maximum speed, strength, and armor, as well as a cloaking device which runs out fast or slow depending on your movement speed. The nanosuit also has a few other expected quirks like night vision, the ability to breathe underwater, and you're also given those magical binoculars from Far Cry that can highlight enemies on the radar. The premise is that you're being dropped on the island to rescue a research team that have recently gone missing, and it turns out these guys came across something they probably shouldn't have, waking up the dormant Ceph, who are all just snoozing underneath the island's surface.
The others are still at the excavation site. It's east of the heli base above the falls. You have to help them. They don't know what they found.
And you know what? It's a pretty good setup, and the first hour or so of the campaign is gripping stuff.
Shit, son of a bitch!
You're not on the island all that long before Aztec is killed by a mysterious creature, and shortly after that, Jester is also taken and killed when the creature finally shows itself. What then follows is a lengthy campaign where you're up against the never-ending forces of the Korean army before the last third or so of the campaign where it's a free-for-all and you're taking on the awakened Ceph, who are very pissed off. At this point, the Koreans have flown the coop and you're just fighting these mechanical, squid-looking alien enemies that detonate when they're killed. Yeah, that's about as enjoyable as it sounds. One of the things that Crysis is renowned for is its graphics, and yes, this is a fantastic looking game, even 7 years after its release. The areas inside the Ceph core are still some of the most atmospheric and visually stunning areas I've seen in any single game, and the jungle setting is photorealistic at times. However, it is also extremely unoptimized. I've been through 3 different PC builds since this game came out, and I've played it on every single build, and I've still not been able to play it maxed out with a stable frame rate in all that time. The current rig I've got is performing the best, and I get the occasional stuttering in certain areas, but still, for a 7-year-old game not to run smoothly on modern video cards is poppycock, and just a testament to how poorly coded this engine is. One thing you can't fault with this game though is the way it gives you these humongous outdoor environments and free reign to accomplish your objectives however you choose. The first half of the game is basically a combat sandbox. Now by that I mean you can pretty much just do whatever the hell you want to against the Korean soldiers. The AI works off a last known position system, so that means they're going to head for the last place they saw you, making it quite easy to cloak, flank them, and gain the upper hand. The amount of things you can do at these points is limited only by your imagination and creativity. You're also able to hop into vehicles like jeeps and trucks, but these things are giant death traps as you're a huge sitting duck in one of them, and you can barely survive that much damage before whatever vehicle you're in explodes, killing you instantly, so you're better off just staying on foot. Weapons can be modified to have sniper scopes, silencers, or grenade launchers, so you can really go into each gunfight and play it out in the manner you think is best. The controls are butter smooth and responsive, snapping in and out of iron sights is quick as it should be, and when you've got the hang of the nanosuit shortcuts for swapping in and out each mode, the combat is often seamless. Unlike Far Cry, Crysis uses a quick save and a liberal checkpoint system, so after you suffer from one of the many deaths you'll fall prey to, at least you're not thrown too far back. Having said that though, Crysis is often an absolute asshole of a game when it comes to the enemy AI. Instead of opting for creating actually challenging situations, what the game instead chooses to do is just throw dozens of enemy soldiers at you at any one time. The moment you make any sort of noise or alert people to your location, you will quickly find the area swarmed with squads of brain-dead soldiers who all magically flock right to your exact position like they've got ESP. Now when I say brain-dead, I mean brain-dead. These guys are dumb as dog shit. A lot of the time you'll see them getting stuck on each other, often they'll just glitch right out and stand in place like they've lost the will to live.
Energy critical.
They'll follow each other into a room in a conga line, even though the 5 or 6 morons that went before them all got capped right before their eyes. But what they lack in intelligence, they make up with in marksmanship accuracy. Regardless of how hidden you are, you can expect to take a lot of damage from enemy soldiers that have some form of, I don't know, eagle-eye vision where they can see you from hundreds of meters away. A lot of people say you need to play Crysis on the highest difficulty, and I agree with this for the most part. It removes a lot of the otherwise helpful hints and also means the soldiers speak in Korean, so you won't know what the hell they're doing, but this really only works in areas where you're not forced into combat. Certain levels have moments where you have to fight, especially in the later stages where you're up against the Ceph, and these moments don't seem to be designed with the high difficulties in mind because you just die so easily. It's like your nanosuit is suddenly made out of paper. Another tactic the game uses in early levels is just to throw a combat chopper at you that can outright kill you instantly with a heat-seeking missile. If you haven't got an RPG and one of these things is after you, then be prepared to either die repeatedly until you get your hands on one, or just reload the level and start again. And it's these kind of little annoyances throughout the campaign that really bring the whole thing down. I'd say it's about a 60-40 ratio with the good to the bad in this game. Now, like I said, I've never truly liked this series, but I do give credit where credit is due. As far as games go that give you free reign to move around a jungle setting like some sort of invisible warrior, taking out inept soldiers before they know what the hell hit them, it is unmatched. But it is still a horribly bugged game with lots of technical issues and some really cheap and unfair AI. And I'm just genuinely perplexed at why some people rave about this game so much. You often hear disgruntled people say the game is little more than a glorified tech demo, and at times that's really not that far from the truth. Crysis got glowing reviews when it came out, and I think it's one of those things where people were so distracted by how good the game looked that they neglected all of its actual faults. It would be like dating a supermodel with an attitude problem. Sure, it'd be great for a bit, but eventually you'd get sick of her bullshit, and it's the same thing with Crysis. Don't get me wrong, it is very, very enjoyable at times, and if you've got a beast of a rig, then this is going to push your hardware to its limits. I dare say, it's still one of the best looking games available on PC. But this is a game with a schizophrenic campaign and some downright bizarre and often horror design choices that ruin what really could have been an absolute masterpiece for the genre.